DJ screw up. See what my partner up to. My boy probably sipping and dipping some shit up. 10 bad bitches in a man. Race song, really rockin' diamonds on me dance. When you working hard and your money start expand. I got model bitches wanna lick me like some candy. And them drugs come in hand. Last name savage bitch, but no I'm not brand. Get 'em with no click, no condom, had to eat a plant. And I'm sipping.
Yeah, listen up. Another one. I listen down. Gang violence. Y'all hear about it? Gang violence. I like to make sure that my ops are silenced. I tell them shush. Keep your voice down. If they don't listen, I put a bullet right in their butt cheek. Right in their left butt cheek. Make them say, youch! Youch! It hurts, it hurts. Ever since I discovered your channel, my travel to and from work has been so entertaining. Thanks, bro. You're welcome, Lawson. It's good to see you. Your name was mentioned in the most recent bonus content as a town in Texas called Lawson, Texas. I tell them shush, the baby's sleeping. If you want some breast milk, it's in the refrigerator. Don't be rude, cause you is a hater. Oh yeah, fuck. Does anyone have sound yet? Wait. Yeah, we got sound. Most wholesome chat. I am making noises. You already finished your chocolate milk. Ain't good, folks. Not good, folks. Not good. He's out of chalky milky. Where's he gonna get more? He's gonna want a snack. He's gonna want something else for a beverage. Better without sound. This stream rocks without sound. What are you guys doing? Anybody do anything? Is it World War IV yet? Let's read. He doesn't smoke weed. He tries to wear suits made of tweed. Really like the content. Thank you, H. Will. Joel gonna sign language the stories. Someone tell Ted what's the deal. What up, Sid? The pink squid. Homework? What kind of homework you got? It'd be kind of funny if like somebody made a video game using like AI text, and it lets you lets kids pretend to be like streamers, and then the AI text reacts to it. It'd be a dope rapper. Thanks, man. It's in the works. Hitting my bong, just mind my business, and got a YouTube notification, and here we are. I got some of that Alka-Seltzer tea. Iris, what's good? Pump the jam? Alright. Lil Reedy. About to read his lyrics from his lyric sheet. Hanging out with his best boy Peter. On YouTube, Christian Rabbi Elijah Michaels reveals the true identity of the Antichrist. George, you are having a wild night tonight. Why are you yelling? Because I gotta yell over the music. I think it's way louder for me than it is you guys. Just pretend like I'm deaf. What? Leo Blair is the Antichrist. Never heard of him. Does he know this? What took so long? Well, you see, I was crucified for 3 days. Architecture modeling. That's fun. Little CAD. Tony Blair, Prime Minister of England. The Antichrist, huh? Had no idea he was here this whole time. Listen to new Beyonce country music? Nah. I don't really FW with that. Throw up your gang sigh. Your gang sigh. Gang sign is American Sign Language. It would be funny if, like, a bunch of gangsters got really offended by, like, a sign language interpreter that's, like, sitting next to Joe Biden giving his State of the Union. Because they think the sign language interpreter's trying to throw some shade. What's up, Michaela? Tony Blair, soon to be England's ambassador to America. How do you like dreamcore music? I'm down with dreamcore. I like it all. I love your videos and voice, so soothing. It's glad to hear you feeling better. Thank you, Kaylee. What's up, Jolster? Been a minute, but I'm back. Sup, y'all? What's up? What's poppin'? As a mortician, got all those stories you send in. Yeah, send it in, Ryan. Can you tell us some right now? Give us a little gist. It happened at your school. Was trying to sign that he can't hear, then a kid stabbed him because he thought it was gang signs. Jesus Christ. That sounds like real life. Scary Easter stories. I don't know if we got any this year. Christ God Creator comes back just before end of this century. George, how do you know all this? Did you figure this all out yourself? I had a baby in one time in my funeral home and I was there late, and as I was leaving I heard a baby crying. Just a snippet into my wild world. For me, this is just March normalness. For me, Halloween is just another day in October. David, thank you for the one. But that is creepy, Ryan. Do you talk about Christian issues in Christian-based country under Christian-based constitution? Is that a question? Did you do bully stories a little bit ago? I don't think so, did I? Right? We did creepy tenant. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't see any bully stuff. Queepy, weepy bullies. Did I ever get bullied or were you the bully? Honestly, I guess I was both. Like, a lot of like older motherfuckers always kind of had like shit to say, you know? But then I also probably, I don't know, annoyed the shit out of some other people. People that, you know, I would consider my friends. Like, I would never, like, go out of the way. But I kind of feel like people's interpretations of what a bully is sometimes. Like, there's clear-cut examples of it, but I feel like most of the time we kind of exist in, like, a gray area of what is or is not negative behavior. Like, so many people want to just believe that, like, schools, wherever they're at, just operate exactly like the movies show them, and it just makes it easy for us to, like, compartmentalize humanity in our head, you know? And we think the nerds will always win. But maybe the nerds were never the winners in the first place. Dropping a deuce and you get away clean like you wipe, you realize you might as well just put it back in the roll. Yeah, you have like a handful of shit on like toilet paper, you're like, I'm putting this back. And just like smush it into the toilet paper. Leave it for the next person. Struggles with sleep schedule, I've found the cure. Advil PM. Who would have figured? Interesting, isn't that Advil PM just like Benadryl? You would pay to get bullied by me. Atomic Wedgie. I always, like, some people try to collect scalps. Me, I collect tidy whities. Need help with sleep, eating, fatigue, smoke weed. Cure for all immune diseases is goat serum. Goat serum, George, where the hell do you get that? Is that, do you have to like suck it out of the goat? Did you have a big meal with your family today? I did. What's up, Crimson? Can toilet paper be borrowed? I would hope so. Just recycle it. Did I hit the gym today? No siree. Sleep Number Bed says I got really bad sleep. Yeah, ever since I got that like head wrap, what the fuck did I call it before? It like keeps my mouth shut and I feel like I get really good sleep and don't snore. Can you spare a square? Yeah, you go like next door with your pants down, trying to keep your cheeks from clenching together and smushing shit everywhere. Care to spare a square? Nope, the cure for everyone is the Spirit of the Lord and some chalky milky. Movie recommendation, The Black Phone. I did see The Black Phone. It was pretty good. Seinfeld. seem to knock me out more than normal Benadryl. Interesting, yeah, let's see. Let's take a peek. Advil, PM, ingredients. Let's look at the back. Do they ever got a picture? Wait. Ibuprofen, diphenhydramine citrate. I think that's the Benadryl, right? Part? Or no? Pain reliever, NSAID. Okay. Interesting. Nothing like smoking a cigarette and taking a dump. Yeah, somebody gave me a Zin today after lunch. And that Zin fucking... If ever you had trouble or wanted to like make yourself shit, not like diarrhea, but just get things moving, a fucking Zin or an On will handle it. Keaton and Beetlejuice's too. I hope so. Yeah. What's up, Christy? Another 2 minutes here. We'll kick this off, guys. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I'm not even sure if it's a diuretic. Maybe it is, but... because it's like nicotine. Does nicotine... what does that do to, like... make your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system just evacuate? Just use tap water, yeah. It'd be funny if Let's Read started a story. There's a timer on the fucking thing! How many motherfucking times you got a green name? We gotta go over it every time. 20 minutes. Stories start. It's a stimulant in general. Oh, word. Whatever. Let's just start. Also, the new bonus content is out now. I don't know. I don't know what to fucking talk about during the 20-minute lead up to keep anybody's fucking yo-yo fucking TikTok brains attention, man. I get it, man. We need constant stimulation. I just can't think of shit. Maybe I should like list a fucking bunch of current events and discuss them. All right. School bullies. You guys got any school bullies? Were you bullied? Were you the bully? Or were there none of those? Was everyone just a kid with varying dynamics between each human interaction? Doing nothing against bullying is the worst. Doing nothing against bullying is almost worse than the act itself. I thought I hadn't done anything to this boy, and I even forgot about him for years. I rationalized it for sure, but it's been killing me, and I want to know how much I should blame myself now. So, bullying is normalized in our society, and when the victim fights back, he's the one who gets in trouble. But this kid, Andy, didn't fight back at all. Imagine the typical scenario from a movie. A scrawny freshman boy gets tormented by the senior jocks. I was a senior then. It's a cliche for a reason because it has happened often and will continue to happen no matter how many generations pass. In the locker rooms, in the hallways, and in class, Andy was teased relentlessly. He was beaten whenever he couldn't get out of school quicker than the seniors, and no one batted an eye, even when he literally came to school the next day with bruises and black eyes. Actually, we laughed. I think there was only one teacher who tried to do something, but I can't be sure. I think I saw her being lectured by one of the coaches one day, but they could have been talking about something else. The fact is, nothing ever came of it, and everyone continued to let it happen. I think even Andy's parents didn't care because my mom would have raised hell if the same thing happened to me. And looking back, I wouldn't have blamed him for literally snapping and doing something terrible to everyone. He didn't, and the worst of the bullying happened after the final pep rally for the football team in our senior year. I don't know why Andy attended that rally. I mean, it literally was an event to celebrate his biggest tormentors, who I'm ashamed to say that I considered my friends then. I guess that's another clue that Andy's life at home wasn't that great. Maybe he didn't have anything else to do, so he just stayed as long as possible that day, but he shouldn't have. The pep rally came and went. When everyone left, most of the senior class returned to the school for this big secret party. We weren't exactly a small town, but partying anywhere else with booze and other substances wouldn't have been easy. School was our only option at the time. We drank way too much, but I stopped before I get to. Wait, what? A secret party within the school? That's fucking brilliant. You must think like the bully. Also, saying bully sounds really weird. We drank way too much, but I stopped before I could get too drunk. I was also more preoccupied with a girl, but during a break from our kissing and makeout sessions, one of the guys, Carlson, pulled me toward the rest of the team and we started talking about the senior prank. And it had to be epic. The upperclassmen at our school were famous for pulling fun. And it had to be epic. The upperclassmen at our school were famous for pulling fun but smart stuff that never got them in trouble. These guys were suggesting things that could get us arrested, and I told them not to be idiots. We couldn't jeopardize the final game of the season or our graduation, so no, stealing all the final tests for the entire high school wasn't an option, and neither was destroying the principal's car or driving it into some body of water. I had to remind them several times that the idea was for it to be fun, smart, and not get us expelled. They laughed, but saw the wisdom of my words, so I suggested other ideas, but we weren't planning anything serious then. Our friend Walter suggested that Our friend Walter arrived just as we were talking about streaking with masks through the school parking lot on a random Monday. I would say that he was the biggest bully in the team and the entire senior class. He was huge and had rich parents and influence, so basically untouchable in my mind. We had all assumed that Walter had sneaked off with a girl to hook up, but he came back dragging Andy with him. He starts saying things like, "Look what I found," and everyone was jeering, even me. I knew something bad was going to happen, but I still just laughed like some hyena when I saw that little kid. Walter said that he had an idea for the senior prank, and it was all going to be focused on Andy. I kind of stopped laughing then. I tried to tell them that doing anything to Andy couldn't really be the senior prank, but with Walter being there, all the others just stopped listening to me. Now, Richie, he was the mascot on our team, and he was a lion, pretty athletic kid, and he had grabbed it from wherever it was stored, and he said, "Let's dress him up," and Walter loved this idea. Everyone cheered again, and as we forced that little kid into a big lion costume, Walter made him crawl on all fours and roar for some time while the rest of us just watched. Then we started throwing beer at this kid. Well, the costume, I guess, but either way, it was pretty degrading. Walter kept yelling for him to growl and growl and growl, and we all shouted it too. And after a while of this, I noticed that the girls had gotten bored and most of them left without us. Maybe it was because we had stopped paying attention to them. Parties without girls really don't make any sense in my mind, so I told the guys it was probably time to leave too. And that's when they noticed the girls' absence. Carlson told Walter everyone was leaving, but Walter stopped us, said something like, "No, we have to finish our senior prank." And I asked him what more he would want. He played with the kid all year and pretty much all night, basically. He told us to follow, and dragged Andy, who was still in that lion costume, to the shower locker room. I followed along with Carlson, Richie, and the two other guys, so not everyone witnessed what had happened. Walter grabbed some rope from I don't even know where and tied Andy to one of the showers. We had this system where the pipes were in the middle of the shower area like columns, so it was easy to tie him up. And then Walter turned on the water, and Richie complained because he would get the blame if the costume was completely ruined. I was pretty uncomfortable in that moment too, but Walter didn't listen to Richie or I. I soaked the kid, Coulter Holdash, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. I was pretty happy with how the bonus content turned out yesterday for today's release. This is going to be epic. Did I say Carlton or Carlson? I don't fucking know or care, really. I'm just recanting all of my high school days. I was both Walter and the freshman. '90s high school movie, yeah. He soaked the kid, who remained motionless in his spot, and I shiver right now thinking about it back then because it felt like he was more than just tied to the shower. Andy was defeated or resigned to Walter's bullying. This kid was just completely gone. I remember Richie finally said something like, "That's it, I'm done. If anyone asks about this, I'm putting the blame on you, Walter." And Walter hurled some insult at him and just kept going. Carlson was also worried, telling him to stop and just untie him, and he told Walter, but Walter was just in some frenzy by this point, and honestly, I don't think there was any stopping him. He shut the water off, and I thought, finally. But then he unzips his pants, and that was it for me. I asked him what the hell he thought he was doing, but it was too late. He started peeing on this kid, and he was laughing, telling us to join in on it. I looked at Carlson, and we just shook our heads at how sick all of this was getting. I left then, not caring what else happened. All I knew was that I didn't want to see it. And I got home tired that night, and I just sat in my bed, thinking how I really... Aeon, thank you. Carlton from the Fresh Prince, that would be good. Will, leave him alone. I got home, pretty tired that night, and I just sat in bed, thinking how relieved I was that graduation was finally coming and I could just get far away from all of this. So, the pep rally actually took place on a Friday, and when I arrived at school that Monday, there was some commotion, and I just knew that it probably had to do with Andy. I even expected the police to be there and actually question all of us. But the commotion was just a bunch of students outside the shower locker room, and then I saw a few male teachers carrying Andy out. It was Monday. That kid had been tied to the shower since Friday, and no one noticed. They apparently took him to the hospital, and I swear I was trembling, waiting for something big to happen at that point. I saw my whole future just burning to ashes right in front of my face. But nothing happened. The rest of the day just went on normal. Too normal, I thought, and I didn't see that kid again. The guys and I kinda came to an understanding. We would never talk about it, sure, and that made sense, but we also pulled a bit away from Walter. That wasn't an understanding, it was just common sense, I believe, something that had escaped us before. And Walter knew about it. And after our last gym class, he laughed and patted our backs, saying everything was fine, and saying that his dad would make sure that this didn't go any further. Richie asked him what he meant by that, and apparently Walter's father had called the school earlier And apparently Walter's father had called the school earlier And apparently Walter's dad had called the school at Walter's request, telling them that they needed to resolve this issue internally without the police. If they didn't, they made some abstract threat that the teachers would get blamed and not us. At that time, I didn't like this mention of us. The rest of us hadn't really done anything, but I realize now that we were to blame too. Still, I was relieved, and I'm not sorry about that. I got dressed quickly, and I didn't go out to any more parties, not even after graduation. I left that town for college and put the idea of Andy and Walter just off my mind. But I graduated and moved back to start a business later. And that's when I heard more about what happened to poor Andy. You see, he spent the entire weekend tied to that shower because his parents were away on some business, but also, as I suspected, they didn't really care about him at all. Andy couldn't change schools, so he continued going after recovering silently from that torment. And the next few years without Walter were apparently okay for him, but I wouldn't have been fine after that night. He apparently saw a therapist and was now on some depression meds. And I was thinking about seeing the kid. Apologizing obviously wasn't enough, but maybe it would help. Except then I saw Richie the other day, and he told me that Andy had taken his life a year after he graduated. Richie wasn't sure what happened, but we all knew one thing. Walter never moved away. He worked for his father even without a college degree, and Richie thinks that Walter never actually stopped tormenting the kid, but he just wasn't sure. Now, I know none of the guys from back then maintained a friendship with Walter, and does that mean we grew up? Does that mean we all knew that it was wrong? The thing is, I don't think any of them, not even Richie, are living with the guilt. And I don't mean to make this all about me, but there have been times where I just can't sleep. Could I have stopped this prank from going any further? And how much of it truly does fall directly on my shoulders? That's sad. And we're off. And we're off. I get some... like someone shoots a gun in the air. And we're off, ladies and gentlemen. Kid kills himself, and we're moving on. Story 1 of... I'm not sure, honestly. I think 5. Nice uplifting Easter story, yeah. A real comeback tale. Homemade tortilla chips for air fryer super nachos. Damn, that sounds good. It is kind of sad, yeah. Like in the psychological concepts, people trying to take control of their life usually is pretty self-destructive. I don't remember a time during my school years when I wasn't bullied by someone. And that streak ended in college, but by then, all the damage was done. Was I stronger? Perhaps. But I would trade all my strength for a chance at just a normal school experience. I lived in a regular place with enough people that not everyone knew each other, but I was unlucky because my main bullies that I thought of were 3 of the meanest girls in the world, and they followed me all throughout my formative years. They didn't officially start bullying me until about 3rd grade. I already knew what being picked on was like, but mostly from boys who were just afraid of girl cooties and all of that. But in 3rd grade, my biggest nightmare started. These 3 girls, who I'll call Janice, Emma, and Gaia, noticed that I liked to draw during recess instead of talking to others or running around the courtyard. That first day, they took one of my drawings and threw it in the trash and then threw juice on it. I can't remember well, but I remember crying like a baby. It wasn't hard to get me to bawl my eyes out back then, and that's the main thing with these bullies. The more you reacted to them, the more they push. They were scolded at the time and separated from me, but little mean girls are tough to deter. And for years, I wished at that point that I was a boy, because I saw how boys bullied others, and it was mostly just physical. And I wish I could have fought them. But girl bullying is much sneakier and more horrible than that. Now, okay, this may be a little reductive to people who have been bullied with physical violence, but that's just how I felt. Like boys could resolve things quickly, whereas I had to play a political game against 8 and 9-year-olds. And I would only learn later that physical bullying wasn't better or easier to take, obviously. Once they noticed that they could get me crying over almost everything, I was their easiest target. I remember everything they did to me, from poking me in class with whatever sharp thing that they could find, to sending me notes with awful insults that picked at my young self-esteem. And I'm sorry, but when you're 9, reading the words, "You're so ugly, all the boys will forever hate you," it truly affects you. I broke down each time, and I couldn't control it, no matter how much I tried. As soon as I started bawling, they started laughing, and would only make me louder. Even my teachers got pretty annoyed with it. They stopped them at first, but eventually they started rolling their eyes and just continued class, sometimes ignoring me. And I guess that was easier than having to send kids to the principal and disrupt their lesson plans every single day. It took around 2 years to build up enough pain and psychological tolerance to not start crying like a baby every time they did something. But I was still tearing up, and that got them going. It spurred them on, and I still have no idea why it was so delightful for them. But it didn't matter that my tolerance for their bullying got better because we started growing up, and to be honest, things only got worse. Everything seemingly wrong that you can have as a teenager, it happened to me. I'm talking braces, bad posture, acne, frizzy and abundant hair, all that. And God, I even had a little mustache going. And although my parents cared enough to get me braces, they didn't think anything else like hair removal was really necessary. Acne and hair are parts of puberty, and my mother would say that. Now, PSA, please don't believe that. If your kids tell you that they want to get their mustache or hairy legs waxed, just let them do it. And maybe my life in general would have been better if my mom actually listened to me and allowed it, but I could have felt better about myself, I guess. Anyway, I had to get used to Janice, Emma, and Gaia's taunts through my most vulnerable times. Now, this might sound silly, but someone gave me chocolates one time and I ate them at recess, and I was still figuring out stuff with braces, and I thought that I had eaten everything without getting food stuck in my braces. But I did get chocolate stuck, and I quickly noticed that that was the plan all along. I went back to class, and somehow the girls had gotten one boy, this boy named Julian, to ask me if I liked the chocolates. I remember he was pretty popular, so I was shocked and immediately smiled, my chocolate-covered, bracy smile at him. and everyone started laughing, him included. This happened around the time phones started coming with cameras, and I remember they took pictures, and I was just mortified. I can't even imagine how I would have felt if those pictures actually ended up online, but... Oops, I accidentally clicked. Joel promoted manscaping, yeah. Should have got her that. Worth it all. So happy. See y'all, especially Joel. Happy Easter egg day. Sorry, I've been out of the loop for a bit. I got a new car, Subaru Forester. Oh, nice. That's awesome. How's the car treating you? Your girlfriend says hi. Hello, hello. This bullying brought to you by Raid Shadow Legend. Yeah. You always found braces adorable. Yeah, I don't know why people... I had them in school. I don't know why people were necessarily embarrassed by them. They just kind of were what they were. I know, like, I guess maybe it's like a combination of multiple things. I know headgear would be kind of rough to deal with. Hello from Washington. Hello. I can't even imagine how I would have felt if those pictures ended up online, but if they were only passed around between our peers and they were luckily very low resolution, I cried silently, as I had learned to do, and cleaned my mouth when that period ended. Tons of things like that happen over the years. It was only when we made it to high school that their attitude changed a little. I had learned not to cry at all. It hurt. The ridicule was still terrible. The absolute negligence or just lack of caring of the school staff really tore me up too, but I had finally learned to control my tears. And I learned that bullies can sense, smell, detect fear and pain and low self-esteem. They had messed with me so much over the years that I think that it was just habit for them, but when I stopped crying, they stopped caring. Finally, I would spend days without a single taunt from these girls, or anyone really. I was already known as the loner, a weirdo girl who was always drawing, but no one was messing with me. High school also presented other things for everyone. Janice, Emma, and Gaia developed their own interests like cheerleading, school government, and Model UN. And yeah, it sucks, but the truth is that not every bully is just a complete idiot. I had art club, and a lot of us were introverts, so I can't say I made a bunch of friends, but I fit in there somehow. And that made me bolder. Whenever they remembered me, like in the halls or in class, I just simply ignored them. It sounds stupid and simple because that's what adults tell you to do about bullies, but ignoring them wasn't easy, and I was glad I managed it. That is until I got a group project with... Vicky and Xavier say hello, hello. What are you guys up to? Dual yawns. Braces in 1979, no color choices. That's unlucky. I remember, didn't they, or maybe that was the retainer. You got to choose like a cool design for your retainer. I think I had like a panda bear or some shit on mine. Koa, what's up, dude? That is until I got a group project with this guy Gaia was interested in. I didn't pick him. I didn't even like him. I remember his name was Tony. The teacher assigned us together and we only worked at school after hours, and that's how Gaia saw us. We were at the library using the computers there, and the next day, those girls were on me like they hadn't been in years. They came into the girls' bathroom after me. I hadn't seen them walking behind me until it was too late, closed the door and pushed me into a stall. I had learned to gray rock them, but I couldn't with this level of aggression. What is gray rock? Gray Rock. Gray rocking. Is that just ignore them? Gray rocking is a tactic people may use to deal with abusive or manipulative. It involves becoming as uninteresting and engaged as possible so that people lose interest. Pretend to be a rock and ignore, take yourself out of the situation. Okay. You gotta curl up into a little ball on the ground. I'm a rock. Dying Light 2 and pizza, and let's read. Let's go. They came into the girls' bathroom after me, and I hadn't seen them walking behind me until it was too late, closed the door and pushed me into a stall. Now, I had learned to gray rock them in the past, which is pretty much just ignoring them, but I couldn't with this level of aggression. I fell back onto the toilet and hit my back on the pipe pretty badly. I was trying to recover from the pain when Gaia hit me square in the face with a big algebra book. Algebra book. I was trying to recover from the pain when Gaia hit me square in the face with a big algebra book. I yelled at them at last while I was trying to feel if she had actually broken my nose. Gaia got closer and grabbed my hair. She asked what I was doing with Tony, and I told her through harsh breaths that we had been assigned a project. After hearing that, Gaia finally let go of me, and right on cue came the worst sound in the world. Their laughter. And I hadn't heard that cackle in a while. Almost mechanically, I started crying, not just from the pain of the physical blows, but it was also just automatic. I was a little girl again, and they kept laughing and saying things like, of course, Tony could never like a girl like her. Gaia, you should have known that it was something stupid for school. I remember Gaia's smirk and how she said that it didn't matter because I needed to be taught a lesson, and how fun it would be to see me cry again. Janice got real close to my face and added, "You thought we forgot about you, huh? Well, we didn't. We just have better things to do. And the next time you get close to one of our guys, this will be much worse." I remember those words. And our guys. I didn't even know Gaia liked him. I was just sobbing. And finally, someone opened the door. It was a teacher that I hadn't met before, and she asked what was going on, and Emma said that they didn't know. They found me crying in the bathroom and wanted to help, but I wouldn't tell them what was wrong. And the girls left, and the teacher tried to ask what was wrong, but I just kept crying and crying. My mother picked me up and gave me a lecture about getting a call from the school. I wailed that I was bullied and no one cared or believed me, and I got grounded for doing that. I mean, my mom wasn't mean or anything, but she just couldn't understand. And according to her stories, she was popular. I went to school the next day with actual bruises that no one asked a word about. Really nice, huh? And I asked that teacher to let me do the project alone, and I even begged her. Tony could easily be placed with another group, and she ended up doing it. I avoided all the boys from then on, insisting on working alone or with girls if that was possible, and the teacher thought that I feared boys, but they didn't ask why. And the rest started a rumor about me being a lesbian, and you can probably guess how I was bullied about that. But ignoring everyone became my thing. I even ignored anyone who tried to be nice to me. They had broken me after all those years with that stupid bathroom encounter, and perhaps it wasn't them, but others who didn't care about me, or it could have been my mother's attitude. Either way, I just felt shattered inside. You're probably waiting for some revenge that I got, but I didn't get one. There's a silver lining, though. At 18, I left my house and went to college. I found friends, still introverted, and finally shaved wherever I wanted. I dare say that I became pretty to myself, which was a big accomplishment considering how I felt before. And as for Janice, Gaia, and Emma, I think they're living good lives, for the most part. And that's not what most people like to hear, but that's real life. Maybe karma will get them one day, but maybe not. You have to become Stonehenge. You just turn into like, ooga booga, ooga ooga. Do I get Spider-Man 1 or Miles Morales Spider-Man? Well, I guess the Miles Morales one's the most updated, so you might, like, get, like, all the new features and shit. But if you, like, actually want to, you know, get the full story, you could get the first one and then get the Morales one later, right? I don't know. Are they part of the same story? Presumably, right? As for my revenge, well, let's just say I hope they check their mailboxes real soon. C-Days, what's going on? Samuel Rusden with the 2, New Zealand says, what's good, G? How you doing? I'm doing good. It was a good day with family. It was interesting. I guess really nothing too much to report on that end. Should I move or Spider-Man... Wait. Should I move over Spider-Man 2 or just play Dying Light 2 till the sun comes up? Well, if you want to, like, make it through the story... Did you play through Dying Light 1? Because the Dying Light 1, in my opinion, is one of my favorite games of all time. I mean, I guess obviously it would be my opinion, but, yeah, if you want to, you know, see through to the end of Dying Light 2's story, you could play till the sun comes up if you got off of school or work. Mwahaha. It was a good day. I didn't even have to use my AK. When I was a little kid, I had a best friend, and his name was Paul, and for a while, it was awesome. I didn't have the best time at home. My parents were very strict. I understand that they were trying to raise me well, but my father's military career made it hard for me to be who I was. My mom just followed his lead, so I often felt like I was alone in the world until I found Paul. With a military dad, we moved around a lot, and I didn't have the chance to make a lot of friends. Paul was my neighbor. It was like he took me under his wing and we became best friends almost immediately. And I thought he was pretty cool, too. He had a lot of freedom at home. His parents let him go out wherever, whenever, even though we were like 14 and freshmen, and he introduced me to a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have been watching, but I was growing up and interested, and my parents would have killed me if they knew. I felt freer thanks to him, which is why I didn't notice for some time that things weren't so normal with Paul. At school, we saw that the same... Dying Light 2 got an update in their guns. Wait, how recent was that update, Anthony? Because I'm actually curious. Because I knew Dying Light 1 took quite a few updates to finally find its, you know, direction. But I do hope that... I mean, it made me so sad. I was so excited for Dying Light 2 to be just all the last game, but just so much better. And the craziest thing is, like, the issues that Dying Light 2 had could have just been mitigated if they just stayed on the same, you know, engine as the last game. Because the last game's engine, in my opinion, was like better graphics overall and looked better. And if it would have just been easier for them to develop that game, especially through COVID development, just with some, not even worrying about a new engine and all that kind of stuff, it would have just been like a really sick DLC, like the following DLC that they had. At school, we sat at the same spot every day and hung out with the same people, Paul's friends. He was sort of a leader for them, too. And the first time I noticed something off was the day after we had a little project in class where I met this cool guy from the chess club who... Man, He was sort of a leader to them too. The first time I noticed something off was the day after we had a little project in class where I met this cool guy from the chess club who liked a bunch of music and movies and books that I had no idea about. And I was a very curious kid, so I just kept talking to him. We went together to the cafeteria during our free period and kept talking about his taste in music and more, and I was pretty riveted. Paul must have entered the cafeteria without me noticing, and out of nowhere, I felt this pull on my shirt and turned to see his very angry face. I asked what the hell he was doing, or he asked. He asked what the hell I was doing sitting there with that loser, and I didn't know what to say. My new friend was shocked and a little scared, and I had no idea what to do, so I let Paul drag me back to our regular table, and nothing else was mentioned for the entire free period. But I wasn't an idiot either. When we were alone at school, I asked him why he did that, and Paul managed to convince me that I had to watch out with whom I spent some time with. I couldn't be seen with some loser kids from the chess club. Paul said that if I wanted to be a loser too, then he wouldn't be my friend anymore, and that was very terrifying at that age. I couldn't conceive of not having Paul and his friends as my friends after years of not having anyone to rely on, and so I agreed and stopped talking to that guy. The next incident happened a few weeks later when Paul invited me over for some TV and games, and there were two girls there. I knew them from school, but this was the first time I hung out with girls in such a private setting. I asked what we were watching, and Paul made us look at this X-rated stuff on his TV. I don't know if the girls were comfortable with that, but they didn't seem to say a word. And at one point, Paul called me to the kitchen and said that he was going to his room to make out with one of the girls. I told him fine, but I was tired and wanted to leave. He got this angry look again and told me that I wasn't leaving. I was staying and making out with that other girl. I said I didn't want to. Yes, I was 14 with raging hormones, but I didn't want to make out. You, sir, are talking to the lead of chess club. Yes, I was 14 with raging hormones, but I didn't want a make-out session with some random girl that night. Paul said that I had to go and kiss her right then with him watching. Otherwise, I could go home and just never talk to him again. All of this just felt so unfair, but that threat again was enough to just get me moving. The girl seemed to be into it, or maybe she was just trying to fit in like I was, but we did kiss. And it was my first kiss, but nothing like I imagined or wanted. I definitely wouldn't have picked for Paul to be there commanding this entire thing. I kept kissing her until Paul left for the other room with the other girl, and I pulled away and told the girl that I was leaving, and she said that she wanted to leave too. And she and I actually never talked again, but Paul told all the guys in our friend group about it and made me out to be some sort of hero for kissing this chick, and I didn't like that. But at least he was happy, and I guess we were still friends. Little things like that continued to happen, but at some point, Paul stopped threatening me with his friendship, and he actually started hitting me instead. It was small in the beginning, like a nudge on the shoulder that hurt a little too much for comfort, wasn't very friendly. He hit me in the back of the head when I wouldn't move fast enough for his liking, and my shins also took some kicks from him. And the things that he was asking for, like sneaking a bottle of vodka out of a store, got worse and worse. I don't want to paint my teen self as the most innocent person in the world. I knew I was doing something wrong, and I still did it. It's hard to even remember what it was like or why I felt compelled to do what he wanted. Yes, he hit me, but it was like a trance that you can't get out of. I once pulled a girl's skirt right off of her in the middle of the quad because Paul asked me to. Actually, I did that completely hoping that I would get in trouble, that the school would call my parents. If my dad had found out about it, he would have forbidden me from ever going out until I turned 18 and left his house. I wanted to get in trouble. I didn't think that there was another way to get away from Paul, but I didn't actually get in trouble. No teacher had seen it, and when I asked about it, Paul told me that he talked to the girl. He said, "You know I got your back, right? As long as you and I are a team, nothing will ever stop us." I smiled, but I just wasn't happy about it. Paul's demands and his requests increased, and I swear that I tried to refuse, but he was full on hitting me by that point, and those were times when no one else was around. One night, Paul told me that we were going to steal a car, and we could go joyriding. I said no, full stop. We were 15 then, and I knew that he would want me to drive, and if caught, I would be the one to get in trouble. I was tired of his tyrannical ways. Paul started hitting me as always, goading me, hurting my shins, and I still wouldn't do it. I got angrier and angrier until all that rage exploded in a very serious beatdown. I tried to protect myself. Oh, he got angry and angry. Geo Bravo, what's up, dude? Diddy Energy, yeah. Any updates with that? Have they caught the guy? It's such a strange thing for us as like the general public to just go relatively unnoticed, and it takes till like he's on the run for sex trafficking for everyone to like, now that's what we're gonna remember Diddy by for essentially forever. What's up, Carly? He got angrier and angrier. He got angrier and angrier until all of that rage just exploded in some serious meltdown, but also a beatdown from him to me. In the moment, I tried to protect myself from the blows, but it wasn't easy. Something had been unleashed, and it wasn't until some guys in some truck parked nearby yelled at us that he stopped and fled. I was fine mostly, just kind of bruised up. I managed to go home to school. I managed to go home and to school the next morning without being seen by my parents, but the teachers and others noticed it in my face. The staff thought that I was being hurt at home, and my homeroom teacher took me to the principal. I just followed along because I didn't want to see Paul, and I only saw him from my side eye with his arms crossed as I walked into the principal's office, but I just kept walking. The school called my parents, and I still smile remembering how that principal, Mr. Perez, and the school counselor faced my intimidating father. They said that they would call CPS and the police to have him arrested, and my mother started crying, and that was when I told them the truth. And I just broke down, telling them how I had felt about Paul's friend and I just broke down, telling them how I had felt about being Paul's friend and the subject of his bullying. The meeting wrapped up and I was sent home for the day. I anticipated getting scolded by my father, but seeing me crying like that affected my dad. He talked to me alone in my room and listened without his usual attitude, and I had never felt a real connection to him until that point. He comforted me in his detached way and told me that I didn't have to worry about Paul again. We were moving again for his new posting, and I swear, I had never felt so good about that news. I didn't say goodbye to a single person at school, and I guess I'll do it here, even after... And I guess I'll just do it here now, even if years have passed by. Goodbye, Paul. I hope to never see you again. Samuel Resden with the 5 New Zealand says, how do most people say they found your channel? I found your content from those animated horror story channels like MJV Animations, Llama Arts, etc. Does Llama Arts use my... Oh, channels like that, though, yeah. I don't know. How do you guys find my channel? I have heard those animations do help with, like, promotion, but they kind of annoy the fuck out of me because they just, like, take the story and they take my narration and just really, really shitty animations go over top of it. And I hate how bad the animation is. It's just, like, so poorly made and mass-produced crap, you know? Pradeep's doing good. Where's he at? Oh, he must be upstairs. Online smut blogs, yeah. Does anyone know if Bahrain girls are more inclined to marry people from their own religion or same country? Yep, I guess. Makes sense. Most people in the world are more inclined to marry people from their own religion / own country. Just because it's easier, you know? Oh, Axeman cartoons. Nice. You know, I might eat some candy. You guys like candy? I was gifted a large bag of candy for Easter. I feel like a giddy little schoolgirl. You found my channel through Mr. Creeps. That's awesome. Buttersock called Prophet. Welcome back for 9 months. I have good news. Jacob returns May 1st. The cool thing about Jacob is he says does what he wants, and he wants Jacob with his 1 goats. Hell yeah, dude. I don't know what any of that means, but I'm on board. I've got candy, so I'm happy. We've got a true crime, supernatural story reading rabbit hole. It's awesome. What kind of candy? Well, we got a lot of Hershey's bullshit. You know what's really fucking good? You guys ever have cow tails? Well, they make one called... Well, they make a flavor of it called strawberry smoothie. And it's so fucking good, dude. Like, I liked cow tails, but these ones are fucking next level good. But yeah, peanut butter cups are always my favorite. Anything peanut butter. You listen to Dark Somnium? Yeah, the part 2 of that Baraska story. I recorded the lines for that. So that should be released within like a week or 2. I'll keep you posted when it goes up, but that actually has been a lot of fun. How's my temporary ASMR channel? Not good. Not good. I don't think I've posted on it in years. Oh, you search for detective stories? That's awesome. Stumbled across myself. We've been obsessed with Australian licorice. You guys like ASMR? If I were to just sit here and just eat Mr. Good bars all night, would you be alright with that? Did I get an Easter basket? I certainly did. What's my advice for becoming smarter? I would just do more and more things, you know, take classes on shit, watch, like, choose a topic and then just watch, like, that you're interested, and watch a bunch of YouTube videos on it and try to just, like, really entrench yourself in challenging yourself to get good or knowledgeable about said thing for, like, at least like a solid month, you know? And then just move on to the next thing if you want. And then over time, you'll get good at just being able to learn new things faster, but also smarter in regards to, like, that topic specifically. Yeah, start edging. Boo Boo Kitty, welcome back for 6 months, says, you mock my diabetes, now I want candy. Get your insulin ready. Warn your pancreas real quick. I meant smarter with how to approach to a girl. Well, I don't know. Go to the gym, get on a program, get strong, get in shape. And obviously that's not always going to be the thing, because you need to work on your personality too. And I would say to work on your personality, you probably need to go do shit, you know, like get a job that requires you to interact with people. You could get like a side job where you work at like a, I don't know, like a Lowe's or Home Depot, where you like have to be in sales, and then you just get so used to like a bunch of interactions with people over and over again that you know, you're not like awkward around people as much because you're just used to it at work. Hey, Jacob, thanks for the 10, man. Good to see you. A food that is heavily praised that you think is overrated. I don't know. Avocado toast? No. It's pretty good. I like all of them. Well, what do you guys think? I feel like I almost need to like hear it or it won't come to mind. Oh yeah, angel food cake is not that great. Like the sour cream or whatever the fuck is on it is great. The icing. But then the cake itself is like so light that you could like condense it down into, I feel like, the size of a grape. Oh, Wagyu. Yeah, Wagyu is definitely pretty overrated. It's just fucking steak, you know? To me, steak, actually, in and of itself, is a little bit overrated, because it's like one of those things where people think just because it's steak, they, you know, you like don't need to put flavor on it or whatever. Or like you don't need to marinate it. Ooh, wait till you tried my steak. Wait till you tried my steak, people always say. And it's like, bro, it's still just a flavorless fucking slab of meat. I don't give a fuck that you cook it to perfection. It's still not going to be as good when you grill it as it would be if it sat in its own fucking fats and juices with some sort of sauce, you know, in a slow cooker for 30 hours. I don't know. I just think it's weird when people like, I mean, every chicken you've ever had always has like some variation to its flavor. You don't have anybody hand you like plain white chicken breasts and they're like, oh, I cooked this perfectly. Jacob, thanks for 10, dude. No rapper sounds? You don't like those? Alright, we're done. We're done fucking being a little piggy. Ramp, 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 ramp. That's how you know you're a good parent. When you walk by your kid's room when they're eating food, you go, ramp, 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 little piggy. Little Little pig. Alright, one more. Without rapper sounds. Hey yo, no rapper sounds. Hey yo, no rapper sounds. Is there anything you've accomplished or wanted to get by the end of the year? When you get inspired? Nah. Do you like any FPS games by chance? Yeah, I mean, I recently stopped Overwatch. But that's just because I got banned. Because they're assholes. Also, their ban system is broken as fuck. My friend, every time he gets on Overwatch, he would, if anybody says anything in game chat, he right-clicks their chat, and then he makes up some reason for why they should be banned. And 100% out of 100% times, when he logs back into the game next, he always gets somebody banned. So to me, and he says he must have like over 50 bans, or whatever. And to me, that all that shows is that like they don't have a fucking system to like check or whatever. Like if people just want to get you banned for even like light banter, slight light banter, competitive banter, which is what I was found guilty for, certainly. It even said that when I was banned. It said you are banned forever, for the rest of your life, for a bit of light banter. Just a foolhardy conversation is all. Banter. I really like voice when you read scary stories, but you aren't. It's very soothing. Oh, thanks, dude. Witty banter, free chat. I know. Yeah, you can't expect anybody who plays Overwatch to have a functioning brain, so I'm gone. No ban appeal, no second chance. Nope. Granted, this was my third chance, but I guess I'm just too bantery, really. I'm too silly. I'm just like getting a silly, goofy mood, and I say silly, goofy things. Hey, Jacob, take care, my friend. All right. Next story. Excuse me. My family moved to the smallest town I'd ever seen during the middle of my sophomore year. There was only one high school, and it became apparent real quick that most people there had known each other forever. I stood out like a sore thumb from the very beginning. I was deep into my punk phase and only wore black and leather, whereas the others were only in jeans and usually a t-shirt. Think city boy versus country folk. I didn't think that they would make me... What's your takes on self-improvement? It's good to do, I mean, I think people who have like a running self-reflection in their mind on how they can better themselves and take actions to work towards that. Like, one thing I heard the other day where, it's like you got to believe you can do something, right? And then you got to take the steps to do it. But between those two things, it doesn't even fucking matter if you like don't believe you can do something. If you're still taking the right steps to do something, you're going to see results, more likely. Maybe it would be faster if you believed in yourself. But it's all, at the end of the day, life is all about action. And, it's your actions that tend to constitute your outcome in your future. And you should do something, to make your life better, whether it's exercise or working towards a business or, relationship goals that you have with other people, things of those natures. Some sort of creative outlet that you're working towards, writing every day maybe, painting every day, drawing every day, taking a big shit that's comfortable and only requires like one wipe. That's an improvement. I've been in the journey of self-improvement for the past 2 years, and I feel like I've genuinely discovered myself in doing so. I've done wonders. That's cool. It's awesome. Yeah, not being a chump. I didn't think that would make them hate me. In previous schools, I wasn't popular by any means, but blatant bullying was not the norm either. You'd get insults from others who thought that they were better than you, and I saw the girls being mean to each other and the popular group ruled, but it was like they didn't care about others enough to even really escalate to actual bullying. In this new school, anyone who stood out was a big no-no. But what made things more difficult for me was that I didn't have a single person to blame for the torment that I was receiving. But let me get to explaining how the bullying actually began. If I had left a class for the bathroom or whatever, I would return to my book bag turned inside out and all my belongings scattered all over the floor. I rolled my eyes at that and asked who did it, and people would just laugh. And I even asked our teacher. That was Spanish class, so I remember it was Miss Paloma, and she said that she didn't see anything, but it was the middle of the lesson. They couldn't have done it without her seeing it, and that day I arranged my things and acted like nothing was wrong. Now, several days later, someone broke into my locker, added a little stink bomb in there, and destroyed some of the pictures that I had added to the door. I didn't get how no one saw anything, but I guess they could have done it when the hall was empty. I tried to tell our main teacher, Mrs. Frankson, but she told me to ignore it and that nothing else should happen. I told my mom about it, and she thought the 2 teachers that I had talked to weren't more... I told my mom about it, and she thought the 2 teachers I had talked to... Hey, see ya, dude. Take care. I'm down self-improvement journey, and I'll pluck my stash hair before it gets too long. There you go. You can put it in a jar, and then in a couple of years you'll have a big mason jar full of mustache hairs, and it might become sentient. It's all about mods. Thank you. Good to see ya. I told my mom about it, and she thought the 2 teachers that I had talked to and the fact that they weren't more worried about it seemed very strange, but I wasn't ready for her to come to school and make some scene. Sometime later, someone stole my leather jacket. I shouldn't have left it lying around after what they'd done before, but the weather was weird that day. I got hot and distracted, and suddenly it wasn't on the back of my chair where I left it. Unlike the other stuff, this was a $300 jacket, a Christmas gift from my grandma. I made a big scene and I stopped Miss Paloma's class. Oh, whoops. All stories going forward read as the doctor. I have to go back and reference how the doctor talked. Your auntie has a mustache. It's all good, sometimes hair just kind of be growing in random spots. I made a big scene and I stopped Miss Paloma's class, demanding to know where it was. The teacher saw how the others were snickering, and yet she didn't do anything. She said she was sorry, but unless I knew who, when, and how it was taken, it was my fault for misplacing my stuff. And I couldn't believe it, and I wasn't going to let it go. I went out and straight to the assistant principal. They told me the principal was busy with something, and I explained everything that happened and how my very expensive jacket had been taken. Once again, I had this weird reaction. Another adult who didn't care or had been trained not to care, and it just all felt seriously wrong. The lady asked me who took it. I said I didn't know. Then she said that I probably lost it myself, and I was speechless. No, I didn't lose it, I told her. I placed it on the back of my desk chair and went up to talk to Miss Paloma about sentence structure. When I returned to my desk, the jacket was gone. The assistant principal repeated the same thing as Miss Paloma. She couldn't do anything if I couldn't tell her who had taken it. And that was it. I was ready to call my mother and get her to come here. You may call me a mama's boy or whatever, but that jacket meant the world to me. And when I went back to class, the jacket was back on my desk chair. And I heard the laughing and saw their smirks. And I was not only being bullied, I felt like I was being gaslit. Miss Paloma was oblivious. Miss Paloma was oblivious as I went to my desk, put on my jacket, and sat quietly, fuming. I felt their stares and tried not to react, but I couldn't contain my rage fully. But what could I do? I had no one on my side. The teachers were either apathetic or just in on it, and I had no clue in other words. The teachers were either apathetic or in on it, and I had no clue and no other options. Something similar happened a few days later. I was showering after PE, and when I finished, my clothes were gone. I tried not to panic, wrapped my towel around me, and walked my Fuck, man. I tried not to panic, wrapped my towel around me, and walked the entire bathroom trying to find them. Others were there, waiting for what I would do, and waiting to laugh as well. But I tried not to act mad or desperate. I tried not to fall into this obvious bait. One of the football guys, this guy named Jackson, talked to me directly, and he asked, "What was wrong? You looking for something?" I ignored him and kept looking. Jackson kept going and asked if I needed to borrow some clothes, and I straightened my back and just said yes, that would help. He sighed dramatically and said that he would, but all his extra clothes were in his other locker. When I knew his game, I asked if he could go get them for me, and Jackson laughed. He said, "No, you can look for them yourself." He gave me his locker number and even the combination, and then he said, "Good luck." And the rest of the guys left the bathroom looking at me like they had a secret up their sleeve. They left me alone as a test of what I would do. Would I stay here and keep looking, knowing full well that they had hidden my clothes somewhere that I wouldn't find them? Or would I go in my towel and barefoot to be ridiculed by the school? While I contemplated these options, hey, what's up, Audrey? Yeah, it was a good Easter. Good keister. A schmeester. While I contemplated those options, I also considered what their game was. How should I face them? Did they want fear, compliance, defiance? Would they respond to show of strength? I didn't know, but I decided on that. With my head held high, I stepped out of the bathroom in barely anything, and I was expecting a few people, but it seemed like the entire student body had gathered for this. Granted, it was a small school, but they all witnessed this walk of shame. I didn't look at Jackson as I walked to his locker and tried to open it. It was only then that I grasped that he didn't really give me his combination, and I felt like an idiot. I should have known that he would he wouldn't have. I should have known that he wouldn't have helped me, but I tried the lock again and failed. Suddenly, our principal called my name and asked why I was naked in the middle of the hallway, and I tried to tell him what was going on, but he wouldn't listen. He said that he had no idea how I behaved in the big city, but this was a good school, and I needed to start behaving. And I just lost my temper. I yelled that his great students had stolen my clothes, and I invited him to the bathroom with me to find them. You can probably guess what happened next. My clothes were sat right on the bench where I had left them before, and I remember I even started crying openly then. It was just pure frustration. It was just pure frustration. I had been humiliated so massively, and the principal gave me detention instead of trying to see my side of things. I couldn't report any bullying, not just because of the awful teachers, but also because I had not seen anyone doing it, again. This cooperative bullying effort made it impossible for me to accuse anyone, so I couldn't tell my parents. What would I say? I used to think that people who didn't snitch on their bullies were idiots. Snitching was better than taking the abuse, but in this case, I literally couldn't snitch. The only thing I could do was just take it and wait. I became a lot more vigilant after. I locked everything and kept an eye on all of my things in school. For days, nothing happened, and I got this idea. If I could catch someone in the act, I could report them. So I pretended to get sloppy again. One time I left my locker slightly open and went into the boys' bathroom right across from it. I acted completely normal, but hid behind the door and waited. No one came and class was starting, so I went out, still acting normal, locked everything and continued my day. I thought that maybe they didn't want to repeat their taunts on me. They could have wanted something new to up their game, so at the risk of my own health, I tried something else. I got the same food I always did for lunch and sat at one of the tables outside where everyone ate their lunch. This school didn't have a cafeteria per se. You could get food, but it wasn't a whole building like you see on TV. Now anyways, I pretended to get a call and stood and walked away from my table for a second, and I talked on my phone for a while. My back was to the food, but I was fully aware of any movements nearby. I even saw my chance and stood closer to the building's windows to give me a better view. It wasn't perfect because of the several plants that surrounded it, but I could see much better than just my periphery. And at last, I saw Jackson and 4 others, people I'll call Marcus, Jerry, Zeke, and Max, get close to my table, and I waited for a second. I didn't believe my plan to catch them would work, but finally I had faces and names that I could report for bullying. I was still pretending to talk on the phone while considering my options. And that's when I saw them trying to put something in my food. And for once, luck was on my side because Miss Paloma was walking by. I rushed back, stopped her in her tracks, and pointed at the guys. "They're putting something in my food, Miss Paloma," I remember screaming. The guys seemed too stunned to react, and the teacher saw the bottle in their hands. She went to them and told them to hand whatever they had over. Jackson pretended it was nothing, and the others backed him up, but I insisted. I even spoke like a total goody-two-shoes, detailing exactly what happened, and they were forced to give Miss Paloma the bottle, and I saw what it was. It was this very strong laxative. Not very original, but it was what I was hoping for. Concrete proof. Shit. Shout out my boy Cage. Johnny Cage. Haven't gotten a good rant from me in a while. Let me start you off. Zodiac. Zodiac is just space racism. Boom. Roasted. Not very original, but it was what I was hoping for. Concrete proof. "You boys follow me to the principal office," she said, and that included me. and I finally felt vindicated, almost elated, like I had won some lottery. I sat down with the principal, and this time I had a chance to air out all my grievances, everything that had been happening to me once I started school. I didn't blame the staff for their indifference because I was trying to win them over to my cause. The principal asked the guys if they had done all of those things to me, and they muttered some no's, and yeah, I couldn't prove their involvement before, but the laxative was as clear as day. The principal said that they didn't tolerate bullying at the school, and that's funny because no one seemed to care before, but they called everyone's parents, and it was this very big thing. I fessed up to my parents about my school life. I added all the details that I couldn't say anything about before, and how I finally caught the guys, although I left out the part about being my plan. Listening from Trinidad, Tobago. Nice, what's up? Trinidad, I love ya. I do it for the Shastas. I added all the details I couldn't say anything about before, and how I finally caught the guys, although I left out the part about being my plan. Wait, what? Although I left out the part about that being my plan. My mother made a big fuss about it. The other parents weren't happy, but I was delighted that adults finally saw things and wanted to solve it. The principal even lifted my detention from that towel incident, and I spent that weekend happier than ever. My other problem came later, though. I had already been designated as an outcast, so it's not like I lost anything, but at least people talked to me. I had interaction. When I returned to school the next day, no one would even look at me. The teachers were fine. They were always somewhat detached anyway. But everyone else didn't deal with me. I didn't exist to them. At PE, people avoided me. They didn't throw balls or laugh or accuse me of being a snitch, and I just became invisible to them. And after school, I stayed a little back to talk to another teacher about some homework, and when I walked through the hallway, I saw the 5 guys. I almost tripped, not knowing if they were going to do something, but I kept walking, and they just let me. Ready for the eclipse? When's the eclipse? The 5 guys from 5 Guys. I almost tripped, not knowing if they were going to do something, but I kept walking, and they just let me. I sneaked a look back, and they went into the classroom used for detention without a word or a glance in my direction. I was confused. I spent an entire month waiting for something to happen, but nothing ever did. I waited some more and tried to speak to others, but I was met with silence. The rest of my sophomore year was a silent nightmare. It was almost worse than being taunted or teased. I didn't exist to these people, and I couldn't understand that attitude. And faced with the idea of having to live like that for 2 more years, I talked to my parents. And they found a private school an hour away from our town and told me that they would pay for it if I could handle the commute. And I did so gladly. It was the best choice for me. I didn't make many friends there, and it was an entirely different atmosphere. I wasn't popular, but I wasn't a pariah either. But to this day, I still get a little scared of the silent treatment, even from people I don't particularly care about. We are burning through these stories. Holy shit. Okay. Dude, I'm so cold. Yeah, actually we do. Yeah, we got one more story, so I will be right back. I'm surprised we're burning through this so quickly. But yeah. BRB. Wake up, liberals. I was just thinking someone's like, it's like, man, this motherfucker worked for 2 hours and had to take a 30-minute break. Who makes the music in your AFK segment? That is Secede. And the song is called In My Core A. Did I get crunk? Yeah, off of Easter candy. Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm eating an Easter egg. Yeah. I love chocolate peanut butter because you can just suck on it. It sounds so delicious. Didn't you get any Easter egg? Didn't your mom get you an Easter egg basket? Loads. Suffers in vegan? What, you can't eat fucking milk chocolate on vegan? You think the cow, every time you suck on a Cadbury egg, the cow's just like, oh, my teeth. My teeth, it hurts so much every time you take milk out of me and make it into delicious treats. Oh, that's what the cow says. The cow's fucking happy. That's one thing vegans don't realize, is that animals are happy to die for our snacks. Like, if I was a cow, I'd be so stoked to be turned into just a little one pound bag of beef jerky that's mostly air. That would be like my heaven as a cow. So now that you know that, you know, you might as well have some with me. Honestly, the Hershey's chocolate factory saved cows, I think. Cows were on the verge of extinction. And then we made delicious little fucking Easter candy. And we were like, let's get going. Let's get them fucking. Let's get them making babies and shitting out cream. And they were like, thank you, Lord Hershey. You saved us. Don't believe me? Go to any cow field in America. Ask the cow. They all know Mr. Hershey. They're like, he's like the Jesus. They have like an Easter for him, but like on a different day. I think it's like in August or something. I didn't realize how hard it would be to move to an entire different country. My family came to the United States in the 1990s. I was 10 and I barely spoke English. My parents made me believe that there were many other Latinx. Whoops. Honestly, vegans are a threat to like a cow's livelihood and the ability for that cow to like feed its family. In many ways, vegans are like anti-animal rights because they just want to they want animals to be homeless and not have a job. My parents made me believe that there were many other Latin American kids in Florida, but we ended up in an area with mostly white people, and I started only knowing simple things like, my name is, I'm 10 years old, and I come from X country. I knew I could learn quickly, though, because I had always been a good student back home. But at my age, it was very likely that I would always have an accent. I was also browner than most of my peers, and I got strange looks despite what you may see in many movies. I was also browner than my peers, and I got strange looks. And despite what you may see in many movies, most countries in Latin America are pretty diverse. We have everything from blue-eyed blondes to the darkest skin color, and some places have different or more varied ethnicities, but the point is that I had been exposed to all kinds of different people already. I never gave that difference a second thought, and that wasn't the American experience. My new schoolmates had obviously grown up without any exposure to other people or foreign cultures, and I slowly had to learn the rules of this country when it came to race and other issues, and this was a big culture shock to all. And this was a big culture shock altogether. During my first days, all I got were strange looks and a few interested, friendly gazes. Most of the teachers were nice and tried to help me, although I couldn't understand them much in the beginning. Some girls tried to talk to me, and we laughed while making hand gestures. They taught me a lot, and those girls became my best friends for the rest of my school life. But as I spoke more English with my accent, I realized that not everyone wanted to be my friend. As I grew up and noticed more about the world, I theorized that those kids were most likely influenced at home about me. I know now that I was thoroughly correct. Every kid seemed merely curious on my first days. Looking back and remembering how that curiosity changed to hatred is pretty difficult. Children aren't born with that prejudice. It's imparted, and some adults have no idea how horribly they're damaging their kids' minds. As I got braver with my language skills, I spoke more in class. But one time I had heard mocking for the first time ever. Someone repeated exactly what I had said to the teacher, but with a bit of a lilt and fake accent, and others laughed. The teacher reprimanded them, but they did it sporadically, and I started hearing it at recess. My mom told me that I shouldn't listen to them, that they were just jealous because I could already speak 2 languages, and they only knew 1. And her words made me feel better, and the next time it happened, I used that logic as a sort of retort. I told the girl who did it that she was envious, but she had something to say too. Who wants to speak Spanish? Ooh, that's for poor people. And her friends laughed, and I started to tear up. The teacher sent her to the principal's office, but that didn't deter her. She mocked me whenever she could and kept getting in trouble. Her mother came to school once, and I was told that she ranted about the foreign kid who was getting her daughter in trouble. She was even changed to another class to be far away from me, and her friends still tried to mock me whenever they could, but they couldn't do it inside our classroom after a while. The rest of my classmates had gotten bored. You can only make the same mocking joke a couple of times before people just don't find it funny anymore. The girls weren't happy that I was making more friends, and even the boys liked talking to me and asking me questions. I'll call my main bully here Sarah, and her friends really don't even deserve a name. They were just sort of her minions. The worst of her bullying started at one recess. I was playing on the playground with my other friends, and there was this tunnel. It wasn't a slide because it was straight, but I loved it. I went through it, following my buddy Anna, who had just gotten out. I was about to go out when Sarah blocked the opening. She asked me where I was going, and included a word that I hadn't heard before, and I learned later it was actually a slur. While I didn't know the word, I knew that it wasn't well intended. I went back and saw her minions at the other end, and out of nowhere, they were starting to throw rocks at me inside that tunnel. I covered myself as best I could as I cried out for help while I heard them shout, "Go back to your country," repeatedly. It Obama. The Chad femme bully. Oh my god. Did I ever get bullied? I mean, it was mainly just like from older boys, you know what I mean? Like they would pull down your pants and raspberry your asshole, but that's like pretty much it. I'm just kidding. No, it was like, just your typical sort of like, if you're the younger male, you just get shit, and basically you just keep getting shit for stuff until you can either prove that you're better at something or whatever, or smarter or more wittier, you give shit back to them or whatever. But I do remember, like, I took like art classes in high school. It was so weird because it was like I took it in 9th grade, but there were like kids who were like older, who, even though I sat at their table because in my mind they were like cool or whatever the fuck, they would just find ways to kind of make me like the butt of the, they'd find ways to make me the anal of the conversation. The peg. They'd peg me with clay. But I just remember there was this one time where it was like some older guys that were in my drawing class. And I don't know what the fuck it was, like the because they kind of feed, people kind of feed off of each other. It's the same thing. I mean, guys, whenever they start bullying, they like feed off of each other because it gets them sort of like a kick, I suppose, from getting the other ones to laugh and that kind of thing. But it wasn't like excess bullying, I guess, when I look back on it. Like, it wasn't like something like the movies. It was just annoying shit where it was like you knew that you had to like somehow prove yourself, and you ended up actually becoming friends with some people like that just from exposure, I guess. But I just remember one time as I was like trying to leave, because I was like bigger than them too, that was the weird thing, and he like actually like tried to grab my like underpants to like do an actual fucking typical like atomic wedgie style thing. But then it just, I like freaked out or what, I don't even remember. I just remember like turning quickly to like push him away and like knocked him into a bunch of fucking like art shit, like knocking stuff off shelves or whatever. And you're like, chill, dude, chill. Fucking chill out, dude. Fucking chill. But I just remember the art teacher, he was a nice dude, and he was like, I saw what you fucking idiots are doing. And it makes sense why he would react that way. Dude, I had a lot of cool art teachers, man. A lot of them were just like really nice people, and yeah, they were like, you'll never be a YouTuber, before it even existed. Yeah, you'll never be fucking internet niche famous. Your school got a gun threat. Oh my gosh. Now they're pumping my gas. Now they're... Yeah, I don't know. It's not... Yeah, people always like to think, that at the end of the day, someone who's a dick to them is going to like end up in a bad spot, but... I mean, we've all been dicks in certain ways and manifesting, antisocial behavior, either through picking on somebody or maybe in like girls' situations, just like gossiping to the extent that it like hurts someone's reputation amidst their peers or whatever it might be, or both. Both sides aren't like limited to one or the other specifically, but I don't know. But the nice thing is that whenever people give you shit about stuff, you do learn ways to sort of deflect it and just kind of get used to that attitude, or learn ways to, break out of it. Hopefully. But then also knowing how to like respect other people and, knowing how to make them feel welcome or whatever the fuck. Your art teacher forbade you from doing a picture of Venom because teeth were violent. Yeah, there were so many like random rules, I feel like, with like art teachers. I remember in college I took like a drawing class again, and my teacher, whenever I brought up the idea of like listening to music while we, drew, and he was like, no, you need to like be locked in and like just in the moment of drawing. I was like, that's fucking dumb. I like to fucking jam out while I'm scribbling on a piece of paper. Fart teachers, yeah. He's like, no, I need to hear your farts going into that jar. Cult art teachers with weirdo philosophy. Yeah, I don't really remember any of my teachers ever having any sort of strange philosophies that they would impart upon the students, but I mean, I graduated high school in 2008, so like I feel like politics and all this like weird shit that teachers might do now, it was not really present back then. Honestly, interestingly enough, I feel like you could have made it through most of college and not given a fuck about politics for the most part, just because nobody was really interested in it the way that they identify with it now. Not listening to music when doing art is pretty weirdo. Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of understand where he's coming from a little bit in the sense of just being specifically in the moment or whatever, but I feel like so many people do well with having some sort of interesting sound in the background, but I don't know. Lay down in the back of class when I showed up drunk one day. Nice. Your middle school had a whole election when it came to Obama versus McCain. That's funny. And anybody that voted wrong was spanked. You will choose the right choice in the two options you are given, and I will decide. It felt like I was trapped, getting that hate for hours, but it was less than a minute before several teachers pulled them off and got me out of that tunnel. I had a few scratches, but I was mostly rattled emotionally. They called my mom, who couldn't fight for me much with her broken English, but she made a lot of noise. Sarah's mother came and acted up again, but the teachers told her off, and Anna and some others told everyone what Sarah and her minions were saying about me. No one was happy, and it was a huge mess. Now, it may sound trivial, but that incident, coupled with all the mocking before... Man, my nose is still stoofy. Yeah, politics is weird. It's just like weird people going to like bat for like people they never met in their life, who objectively speaking, like lie to your face, saying that they care about your thing that you care about. That most likely the reason that you even care about it is just because social media or the normal media, told you to think about it. You know what I mean? Like this worship of politicians and like hooting and hollering about the identity. Like, it's clear that it's like built into us somehow psychologically, but it's strange that no matter how many times you participate in it and really see no benefit on your end, and honestly things only tend to get worse, whether it's like inflation or overall consideration of comparing what was promised in the beginning and what the outcome is. It's like we have no basic pattern recognition, you know what I mean? Like just absolutely no pattern recognition whatsoever. Hey, see ya, Audrey. Take care. Yeah, who can lie to you the best? It's weird. I feel like the spell is like slowly falling off people lately. I feel like under the whole Trump thing, like everybody was on both sides was so enamored by that. And to me that felt more like marketing, you know? It was like marketing to their ability to generate rage or whatever, and then division. But I feel like that spell, the magical spell, is, yeah, the cult of personality and all that kind of stuff on both sides, and whatever it might be, whatever reality you identified with. I feel like it's wearing off. I think it's wearing off. I think people are getting bored of it or exhausted, or, you know, because there was a lot of people who just chose to be like not friends with their friends over the current thing, you know, that's going on, weird stuff like that. But then after it, like, that's the weirdest thing, is just like how short term our memories are when it comes to stuff. Like, we'll be real excited about something, we'll hashtag the fuck out of something on social media day in and day out, but then as soon as the next thing happens, it's like we forgot about the other one. You know, like, what? Ukraine? What the fuck's Ukraine? I don't remember. I'm on to this war now over here. It's just like, I mean, everyone just pretends like they weren't like a total dick, you know, for a while, or I don't know. Just strange. No one was happy, and it was a huge mess. And it may sound trivial, but that incident, coupled with all the mocking before, shook me to my core. I was old enough to know that things weren't like that in other places. I cried to my mother that night that I wanted to go home, to our country. And I had good friends, but I was honestly scared of having to live like that for the rest of my life. We couldn't go back home. My parents had sacrificed so much to move here and to give us a better life. My mom explained to me that when I stopped crying... Friends in uni were willing to friends with everyone, but now, over a decade later, they learned to hate each other due to politics. It's silly Billy. It is silly Billy behavior. Just because it's not focused on like the individual. It's like the definition, when it comes to identifying with politics, it's like the definition of groupthink. It's the definition of generalizing another person based on like you yourself usually don't even know if they know what you know, or if you even know what's correct, or what they even know about you knowing stuff, you know what I mean? So it's like this constant misinterpretation of what someone else is thinking based on like symbolic imagery of colors and, you know, quick reaction time to words and symbols and stuff like that, that it completely negates the idea of like treating each person like an individual, and it just like completely dumps them into groups. And then you're like proud, like people are like proud. They're like proud of their anger towards another person, as if they're part of like some sort of greater altruism. I will fight them and their potential evil doing by being an evil doer, you know? I will fight their hate by being hateful. And it's just like, you're dumb. You're a dum-dum. You're a baby. You have a baby brain, and you need to learn how to have an adult brain and stuff. And it's just, it's weird. It's strange. I don't know, but I guess a lot of people go through it. But it's strange to think that like young people are very susceptible to it, because young people are so obsessed with identity, and they want to fit into groups, and and to them, groupthink is actually beneficial because it offers them belonging, I suppose. All you know is that Civil War is coming. You don't really know that, though, you know? I've heard a lot of people talk about Civil War over the past 8 years or whatever, or even before that many times. And unless you can sit down and really directly demonstrate why you think something, just because people bitch on Twitter about stuff and are mean to each other online and get caught up in the left-right divide that sometimes just feels astroturfed and faked online, it doesn't mean that it's going to just begin. I mean, how would you even divide the lines up? You know what I mean? Who would even be on what side and for what purpose and all that kind of shit? Like, there's so much specifics to it that people would get bored. They'd be like, no, dude, I need my fucking Amazon packages. I don't give a shit about war. Whatever. Food fight, yeah, the food fight Civil War. My mom explained that to me when I stopped. My mom explained that to me when I stopped crying. I understood and decided to be stronger, and still, some of my sparkle had left at that point. I went to school and stayed as far away from Sarah and her friends as I could. I never used that tunnel again, and I practiced like hell to make my accent completely disappear. You can still tell that English isn't my native language, but it's not that obvious. But when I didn't stand out as much as before, Sarah left me alone, and for the most part. That sounded weird. You got tamales on the ready? Fuck yeah, dude. I'd go to Civil War for some tamales right now. Oh yeah, April 1st. April Fools. When I didn't stand out as much as before, Sarah left me alone for the most part. She grew up to be one of the most awful people you could really meet. High school had more diverse students, and she hated them all. She looked down on anyone who was a little bit different, and not just race-wise, but another aspect, and she used some really terrible names to describe them. And she hated me still, but that's because I grew up to be conventionally pretty good-looking and decently popular with boys and girls and teachers alike. I had a big group of good friends, though, and a solid backbone. I thought I was over that tunnel by high school. However, I later realized that she had done something to me that really stayed with me for a long time. For many years, I separated myself from my culture. I ate only what other kids ate, and I tried to avoid speaking Spanish outside my family. I told any new person I met that I was born here, and I did a lot to hide who I truly was. And I believe that was Sarah's doing. She introduced me to hatred and made me fear my background, the core of my being and my connection to my family. But when I noticed what she'd done, I changed. And as soon as I could save up enough money, I took my parents to visit our home country, reuniting with other family members and learning what I had missed about myself. I brought clothes, souvenirs, pictures, and more into my house, and I celebrate who I am just as I celebrate being an American citizen. Neither Sarah nor anyone like her will ever take that away from me again. Neither Sarah nor anyone like her will ever... Neither Sarah nor anyone like her will ever take that away from me again. Why does that sound weird when I say will? Will. April Snools. Neither Sarah nor anyone like her will ever take that away from me again. The power of Will Smith. All right, we did it. Good job, everyone. You did great. Can you guys think of something funny for me to say at the end? She killed Sarah because Sarah was rude. A round of applesauce. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams on Sundays and Wednesday nights. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit r/Let'sReadOfficial or send it over email, and maybe you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories and big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, your Easter feaster. And remember, I'm deleting my channel. Happy April Fools. Yeah, that would scare even me, probably. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, I'm deleting my channel. April Fools. Candy, candy. You're right. You're right. I should put candy in my mouth and chew it and suck on it and collect all of its goody, sugary diabetes. Oh, fuck yeah. We could just hang out and eat candy if you guys wanted to talk about stuff. But you guys gotta think of shit for me to talk about, because I'm not smart enough to think of anything original. Unless it's original Werther's candies. The Candy Man cometh. You know Tony Todd, who plays the Candy Man? He follows me on Twitter. Granted, he follows every single fucking person on Twitter, which kind of blows my mind. He's like an actual celebrity, and he's one of those like follow for follow like social media people. It's really fucking funny. And like all of his like social media posts are just like him clicking share and then like sharing music videos and stuff. Like, check out the best 1920s jazz music. He's underrated. He's really good. I think he was in the new Miles Morales game as like Venom. He was Venom. Candyman, Candyman. Crying chocolate tears. Would you visit Willy Wonka's factory if you won the golden ticket? Fuck yeah, dude. I'd jump in that shit. Diarrhea in my pants. They wouldn't know. The Oompa Loompas would know. They have very strong snouts. Probably stronger than a dog. But the Oompa Loompas, they don't have rights, so fuck them. But yeah, at the end of Willy Wonka's gumdrop factory bullshit, did those kids actually die? Like, did they just did they bring them back, or did they just never address it? What do you think about us ever living on Mars? I don't know. Mars just sucks. Mars is cold. You can only maybe grow tomatoes, maybe. Who the fuck wants to go to Mars, you know? Imagine you spend your whole fucking life and human existence and all the stepping stones that we've created there, both with making up some fantastical, monetary fractional banking system that allows us to, like, even generate the amount of work necessary to send people to Mars. And then as soon as you get there, you're chilly, you know? You got hard nipples, you're hungry, and then you just die because you couldn't make anything occur. Even like 100 years from that point, Mars wouldn't be that cool. It would just be some like shitty fucking settlement out in the middle of the West, maybe, if you could somehow terraform it. And have like uncomfortable tundra Antarctica sex to make like more people. Elvira would welcome back for 9 months, says happy Easter, Joel. It's 11:56 here in Cali, so I'm still within the Easterness greetingness. Thank you. Good to see you. Martian Western movies, yeah. I don't know. I imagine by the time they get out there, they would just start a cult. Thoughts on Sam Bankman-Fried? He's ugly. That's one thing. I did find it really weird for as many crimes as he committed. Kind of odd that people in Congress and, the government took it real easy on him. It's almost like him donating a fuck ton of money had some sort of influence over all that. I feel like I saw some, like, social media posts when they just announced that he went to prison for 25 years. That people were like, we know that this is serious to people, but this is a really hard time for our family. And it's like, what do you mean? We fucking scammed like people out of billions of dollars and smiled the whole time while doing it, while also donating a fuck ton of it to politicians. I think we can be a little bit stoked when justice are served. Isaac with a 5 says, honestly, if I could choose how to die, maybe to spend my last few moments on another planet. Like suffocating to death or being cold? I don't know, dude. One of my biggest fears is that there's probably a fucking Epstein Island situation, but like on a random moon in our solar system. And just imagine being one of those kids who finds out where you're at. And not only is no one ever going to find you, but they don't even know the place that you're at right now even exists. On a moon rotating millions of miles away in Jupiter. Of course, I'm sure there's other places on Earth that are the same sort of vibe. Sounds like the next BioShock. Oh yeah, I think they had like gameplay footage for the next BioShock, which is going to be... Where is that? I think it's in space. It's in space. What do you believe in Area 51? I think it's just aeronautical or like aerospace type shit. just crafts or whatever, and stuff that we maybe have reverse engineered, and it's probably not as exciting as we make it out to be. It is interesting, like, the fact that aliens can so effectively, I mean, I've heard stories just from podcasts and shit, that aliens can so effectively, like, just come into our nuclear facilities and just shut our shit off, almost like mocking us as they do it, you know? But I guess if it keeps us from killing each other, it's kind of a nice thought where it's like there's the nuclear deterrent to keep us from, like, warring on a large scale. But then in my mind, there's also the secret deterrent, the alien deterrent, who comes in and just, in a little fucking energy ball, zaps the rocket, and then it just shuts off and nobody dies. So take solace in that. That's some made up story about aliens. Will save us. Little sci-fi heart bussin'. Christy O'Brien says, "It's my birthday. So glad I was born on April Fool's. Can you imagine the bullying?" Well, happy birthday, Christy. Do you think the aliens will be in touch with us in our lifetime? I guess it would cause a lot of crazy uproar or whatever. So I feel like the logical thing for them to do would be to integrate themselves into our major governments somehow, you know, having influence there. I don't know. I remember on the X-Files they talked about there being some way to, like, change our DNA as, like, as humanity as a whole, so that it's, like, priming our bodies to then be able to interbreed with aliens. Exactly why that is, I don't know. I have no idea. But maybe it would just be easier for them to still control the government if there was, like, some type of, like, half-breeds or, like, semi-half-breeds in their genome operating within our, like, amongst us. Among us. They should make an off-brand, like a Sam's Choice called Amongst Us. It's got the best vibe, thank you. I thought I heard something. I don't know if it was my stomach or what the fuck. What do you guys think? Apparently, I don't know what year, but I remember hearing years back, my family member talked about Area 51 doc that is shown once and never shown again because of what was shown. Oh. Well, that sucks. What would aliens want to even do that, unless they're not evil to genocide us, but evil enough to enslave us? Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to, like, rule over people, is to rule over them silently. Like, if humans knew that aliens had, you know, wanted to take over or integrated themselves into our system, and we were well aware of it, then there would be many of us who would want to fight against it, you know, and probably find ways in which to do so. But if you never even knew that you were taken over from the inside, that's a much more efficient way to do, like, a planetary coup, you know, is to rule silently in the background, slowly and insidiously taking over. Should humans and aliens procreate for the future of both species? Yeah, I'd clap some alien cheeks, to be honest with you. I wouldn't care. Do aliens look like green men or freaky as fuck? The ones from Arrival. I don't know. I think some of the little gray ones that man the ships are more or less just like drones. You know, like they're like biological drones created by ones that are like taller than them and bigger than them. Where they're like sentient enough to do stuff like an insect would be. But I guess not really like much of a loss overall. Alright, I just had one bad piece of chocolate there and now my stomach hurts. My tum-tum hurts. It was the fucking dark chocolate. For some reason that one just didn't sit well. Well guys, thanks for hanging out. We got 2 streams in the books, 2 in a row. But yeah, anybody who is a member or became a member tonight, be sure to check out the bonus content. We got new bonus content up there with part 2 of Oh Death, a Western horror joint. Let's Read joint. You ever watch Fire in the Sky? I have not, no. But otherwise, I will go ahead and get these bully stories edited and up over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access to all new audio and recordings. And then I will be getting it up on YouTube, same time, same place, 7 p.m. EST, as well as a new podcast every Tuesday at noon. And yeah, I'll be back streaming Wednesday night at some point. I'll keep you posted. Go follow me on Instagram at letsread.official and Twitter at letsread to be kept up to date when new shit drops, new streams, all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. And I will see you guys in the next one, in the next episode.